My limited dating experience at 19 amplified these safety concerns. With few previous relationships for comparison, I had no personal framework to assess whether certain behaviors were normal cultural differences or genuine red flags. This inexperience made it harder to distinguish between legitimate safety precautions and unfounded fears, especially in cross-cultural situations where social cues differ. Family warnings reinforce these anxieties. Be careful with those foreigners, my aunt would caution. They think Filipino women are easy. Many Filipino parents explicitly warn their daughters about the supposed dangers of dating foreigners, creating an atmosphere where caution overrides curiosity. The perceived economic advantage many foreign men have in the Philippines creates an uneven relationship foundation that can amplify safety concerns. Young Filipinas often worry that refusing requests might lead to conflict, making them vigilant about maintaining control from the beginning. Statistics rarely support the perception of widespread danger. The fear significantly outpaces the actual risk, yet remains a genuine emotional barrier for many young Filipinas. For foreign men dating in the Philippines, understanding this fear provides valuable insight. As relationship coach Alma advises, foreigners should allow the Filipina to set the pace and direction of the interaction. This approach gives Filipinas the sense of control they need to feel safe. When my now husband and I had our first date, he suggested a busy cafe in the middle of the day. He arrived early, chose a visible table, and never left his seat when I stepped away. These simple actions communicated his understanding of my concerns without requiring an awkward conversation about safety fears. The most effective way to address this fear is through consistent behaviors that demonstrate awareness and respect, establishing the foundation of trust necessary to overcome these concerns. Myth versus reality. The hidden wife scenario. Transparency about intentions builds trust, but what about transparency about the past? Imagine investing your heart, time, and emotions into someone only to discover they have a wife, or worse, multiple families scattered across different countries. This nightmare scenario haunts many Filipinas considering relationships with foreigners, turning casual conversations into careful investigations. When a Filipina asks where you've traveled in the Philippines or how long you've stayed, she's conducting an invisible background check. These calculated questions help uncover your history without directly asking if you're married. The frequency of your visits, the regions you've explored, and the hotels you've stayed in become puzzle pieces in her assessment of your truthfulness. Take Jasmine's experience when dating an Australian man who claimed to be divorced. He mentioned visiting the Philippines 3 times before, but was vague about where he stayed each time, she explains. When I asked if he'd visited my hometown, he changed the subject quickly. That was my first red flag. Her subtle questioning eventually led to the discovery of his Filipino ex-girlfriend in another province, and their 2 children he hadn't mentioned. Questions like, have you been to Cebu before, help determine if you have connections in that region. How many times have you visited the Philippines? Establishes a pattern of your presence in the country. These inquiries reveal whether your story adds up or if there are suspicious gaps indicating hidden relationships. This caution stems from very real concerns. Stories circulate widely throughout Filipino communities about foreigners maintaining multiple families across different countries or islands within the Philippines. These are cautionary tales passed between friends and family members, often with specific names and locations attached. The emotional and economic stakes are extraordinarily high for Filipinas in these situations. Relationships with foreigners often involve significant life decisions like leaving jobs, moving away from family, or relocating abroad. Discovering she's the other woman means potential financial devastation, social humiliation, and years of emotional recovery. Social media has provided additional tools for verification. That casual scrolling through your Instagram might actually be digital detective work, looking for inconsistencies or evidence of other relationships. The language barriers in cross-cultural relationships make this situation even more complex. Nuanced conversations about past relationships become challenging when operating in a second language. Misunderstandings about terms like separated, divorced, or what constitutes a serious relationship create confusion. Cultural differences in discussing previous partners create information gaps that breed uncertainty. For foreigners seeking honest relationships, this might feel uncomfortable, as if you're being secretly investigated. Understanding that this fear comes from self-protection rather than inherent distrust can transform your approach. The solution is straightforward. Be proactively transparent about your past. Offer clear details about previous visits. Volunteer information about your relationship history before being asked. Share photos of family members and introduce her to long-term friends. Being forthcoming about your living situation builds the foundation of trust needed. By openly addressing these concerns yourself, you demonstrate respect for her caution while creating the emotional safety necessary for your relationship to grow. This proactive transparency doesn't just resolve her fears. It creates the solid foundation of trust you'll both need to navigate other challenges together.